All right, levels.
Levels.
Okay, I'm actually a little bit loud. 1 second. All right, levels. Nope, that made it louder. Levels. Ooh, oh yeah.
Ooh, you're so quiet and mysterious now.
All right, so we have that up. Did you see the stuff I put in the doc?
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
You're doing more than I am. Then give me just a moment to pull it back up.
Uh,
So the first thing I put in here was, well, okay, no, because I want to talk about it, I'm gonna put wormwood in for the first thing, which is my dice tray. Do you know of wormwood at all?
no, I don't.
So wormwood, it just makes people spend a lot of money for dice trays and DM screens, stuff like that.
I see.
So I'm going to send you a picture. I am taking this, but I did buy it with an objective. Whenever this whole virus thing wraps up, I have a guy that lives probably 10, 15 minutes away from me that he has a woodworking shop the size of his house.
Oh, yeah.
And he said just while he's making a dining room table,
That is nice.
so it's him and his wife, and they have 6 or 7 kids.
That's so many.
And so it's going to be a big table. And he said I could just kind of sit there and watch and ask questions. And then after he gets done with the dining room table, I just have small things like dice vaults or dice trays or, wood DM screens and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he'd be perfectly happy if, for me to just come by and use his shop to do that stuff. So
that's awesome.
I bought it with that intention that I would take this and look at it and you kind of use it as an example of a dice tray that I would want to make. So did you get that picture I sent you?
I did, yeah. It looks super nice.
I was kind of sad because I bought it with, it was a special that they were running this month where you could buy the dice tray, but there was a random chance table of what wood would be used. The more common ones had like 25% chance, 25% chance, 15% chance. And the more rare and expensive woods like Bolivian rosewood or ebony or something like that had like 5% chance, 1% chance. And so in my head, I'm like, I'm special. Like I got this. The 1% chance is mine. And that was not the case. I got the one that was redoc or lidoc or something. And it was the one that was 15% likely to arrive. And so I'm not as special as I thought, but that's okay.
We never are.
That is my dice tray, and I look forward to over the next couple weeks, or in the next couple weeks, depending on how things go. We just got our stay-at-home order an hour and a half ago, and so things have now developed even more. But I like to be woodworking and doing some of that stuff without spending a ton of money. Yeah, so on that thing, we just got our stay-at-home quarantine order at 5:30 today. For Washington.
That's rough.
What are you guys? You guys are not yet at that point, right?
We're not there yet. From what I understand, you're kind of at the epicenter of it all, right? Or very close to it.
So Seattle is the big problem in that area, and we're about 3 hours away from there. But it did.
Yeah.
What is today? So last Tuesday we got the first confirmed case. But the impression was that it had already been here for a little bit, and by now we've had I think 3 or 4 deaths in the Tri-Cities already.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually, so right now there's just with the numbers of confirmed cases versus deaths, we're actually at 5% fatality in Washington, which is a lot higher than the initial 2% that was being thrown around in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And so that number's a little high because there was an entire life care center facility that pretty much everybody got infected.
Yeah. I think I heard
yeah, so
about
folks
that.
are looking into that, but that accounts for a lot of the infections and a lot of the deaths, unfortunately. But because of that, hopefully the number, the ratio is lower than it currently is.
Right.
We just a lot of our economy is still with the Hanford nuclear waste site that we have here in town, and they so Monday we got I knew this because my roommate was home. The DOE was having everybody not come in today as they were doing a planning day to try to figure out how to still have the job be done but maintain the social distancing. And so that's so everybody, most of the people from Hanford, except for the essential workers that just have to make sure that nuclear waste doesn't flow into the river or something. But everybody else is off.
Yeah.
And then in 48 hours, we start our stay-at-home orders. Luckily, all of the work I do is considered essential.
Nice.
So I was kind of hoping to be legally ordered to stay at home and do nothing, but that is not the case. Stuck at home luckily my other group does enjoy Roll20 as well, and so hope is not lost for my other campaign since had been an in-person one. And I actually have one. I actually have one of the couples that are in the group are self-quarantined anyways, because they may have been they may have been exposed,
no.
and so they're just hanging out.
That's rough, man. This is getting. I mean, well, I mean, what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I was laughing at this thing, but now it's like getting real, man. Like in Utah, I think there was a night over the last week that our confirmed cases doubled overnight.
Yeah,
So that's
that's
eye opening, to be honest.
yeah. No, there was a pretty quick shift in the chat for all the deliveries
Mhm.
of when this started, like when this started to become a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And it was a couple days after. Well, it was probably 2 weeks after Italy started going
Mhm.
downhill. Pretty much just one person said very blankly in the chat, she's like, "Hey, 3 days ago I was making fun of all this, but I'm just letting you guys know I'm pulling back, and I'm just gonna go radio silence on this now because this looks to be getting more
Yeah.
serious." And there's still a lot of people that now they're the unpopular people in the chat, the people that are still, they'll say like the corona cold instead of the
Oh.
coronavirus.
Uh-huh.
Just trying, with this thing that it's not that big of a deal, but it's
It kind of is.
whatever it is. A 5% fatality rate in Washington is not
That's
good. And
yeah.
so,
Yeah, that's a big deal.
but and I know I got some folks in. I don't know if I already said this on Thursday in California, and this will probably be the same thing here now with their stay-at-home order. It's a misdemeanor to be out without being out for one of the approved reasons.
Wow.
Like going to a store, or going to get something, or going to check on a family member or something like that. If you're not going for those reasons, it's a misdemeanor, and that's just their intention isn't to arrest people, because that doesn't help anything.
Not absolutely not. It's just it's probably the story I make up with that is to make it serious to the people who aren't taking it serious. Which I completely get.
Exactly.
Being formerly one of those people who wasn't taking it serious, I have been not severely humbled, but quickly and sufficiently humbled by the statistics that are coming up now. So that's, I mean, yeah, I'm learning that it's not something to laugh at. Did you hear that, or have you heard that they're trying to send out stimulus checks to like every U.S. resident?
No, I did not.
Yeah, apparently.
I heard there was like a stimulus budget of like $1 trillion or something.
Or President Trump's trying to send out $1,000 to every adult in the country, and then and then like X amount of dollars for kids, business owners to like help them stay in business during the quarantine and everything. So they are looks like they're really prepared to and trying to send out help, like lots of money.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna act like I know anything about money, but like I don't. Speaking honestly, like I'm not in a position of needing the money. I'll obviously, if I get a check for $1,000,
Right.
but then I think about all the people that are in my situation that are also going to get $1,000. It's like that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people
that don't need the money, and maybe it inflates the market, and I'm sure they're aware of that. You sit there and wonder how long that's going to last, and because that's no matter how big the virus is and how deadly the virus is, the business stuff and we've already talked about this, but the business stuff that's going to be affected for years.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest concern. And then this $1 trillion stimulus thing. And I drive around. I've already, I've taken probably just in the last week, I've taken a dozen people around that have already been laid off from their work, working at a restaurant or working at a bar. They've all been let go.
Yeah. But at the same time, grocery stores are hiring waves of people. They're just begging for help on overnight crews to just stock shelves. So that's something that I've talked about with my wife briefly.
Doing something like that temporarily.
Yeah, just to help out,
Yeah, I mean, all those guys. I mean, at least in my stores, like everybody's getting pay raises at the grocery stores. I mean, they're all dead tired, but they're all getting pay raises. They're all they're hiring more people. Instacart, so one of the apps that I do where we go and grocery shop for people.
Yeah.
Instacart just made an announcement today that it is trying to hire 300,000 people.
Wow.
To deal with this.
Wow.
Which is great, and obviously the people that I've taken groceries to, it's just a good service right now. It keeps it keeps the stores a little bit less busy,
Yeah, keeping people out.
They just, they have to wait a little bit longer
Mm-hmm.
because it takes a little bit to get to their order and then complete it and all that.
Right.
But that's kind of the preference for some of the stores, and
Mm-hmm.
we've been on the chat with we've had Instacart people that you guys have a Costco there.
Oh yeah.
So one of the gals that has been doing it for a couple of years, she's been posting her correspondence with the building manager, the general manager of our Costco, because they've been working directly with us on how because we by now just go into a completely separate entrance of the building than other people do.
Wow.
So we go through the loading bay, just to get directly into the store, and we're working with them on that, and that's not the only store that's happening to.
Yeah.
Just to try to deal with that, and then all of our stores, or at least a couple of them, have specific hours now in the morning for immune compromised people.
Yeah, for seniors.
Seniors and compromised people. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so Smiths, we have Smiths here in Utah. It's like a Kroger's, I've heard. Or they carry Kroger brand most of everything. So they've set aside the 7 o'clock hour every morning for those people as well.
Yeah, I didn't know this. So Kroger is a lot bigger than I thought. I thought it was just like a chain over there, but like Smith's is owned by Kroger. It's just a different name.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then when I was over there in Utah, people would ask me like, "Do you have a Kroger?" I'm like, "No." Like Yolks or Fred Meyer is probably the closest we have to a Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
And just one of the news articles today had Fred Meyer in it, and Fred Meyer's a Kroger store. And so
nice.
And so I didn't know this, and I thought Kroger was just one of those things that was just completely not in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But Fred Meyer is just the Kroger one that we have over here, and we have two Fred Meyers, and they are huge.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably bigger than the Walmart superstore that we have in town.
Wow.
And so they are large stores, and they're one of them's like multi-leveled, and so they don't mess around over there.
Yeah.
I've had hospital nurses that I've been taking around, and then I've had the grocery store workers.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've been very I'm grateful for what they're doing, because I would not have the energy to do what they're having to keep up on right now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So you see on the notes, and I don't think I've already told you about this, but my police Uber ride
No, you
days ago,
haven't.
did I tell you about that?
No, I saw that and I got excited. I'm excited to hear about this.
I preface everything by saying it, the girl was making light of it at the end, and she's totally safe. So that's what I preface everything.
Oh, that's just my excitement just got so much higher for this story.
So it's already 2:30 in the morning, and I just wrapped up a $20 ride that brought me a block away from my house.
Oh, nice.
I was like, this is the dream. To get paid to go back home.
Yeah.
Is what I tried to do every night. And this has just happened. And I get another one as I'm driving home. Just a block or two. And it's back out, I think it was 18 minutes away, and it was coming back to the same area. So I was going to be a block or two away again. Oh. And I was like, I drive out, but then I at least get to come back, and I will definitely be done after this. So I was like, okay, fine. Like I will go do this. I had just previously, I was already a little bit tired because I went to go pick somebody up. They didn't show up. I called them a couple times, and I texted them, and then I eventually canceled the ride, and I get paid if I cancel after waiting for so long.
Oh, nice. So
I got paid, went and gave somebody else a ride, and then the thing came up again for the same person that I had canceled the ride because I waited. So I was like, so I accepted it. I shouldn't have.
Oh no.
And I go back, and it's this couple of drunk women, and they just spend the whole time they get in the car, and the first thing they say is like, "Why'd you leave last time?" I waited for 7 minutes, and they're like, "You didn't wait." And I'm like, "Well, I called you guys." And they're like, "You didn't call." I'm like, "Well, this is the phone number." And they're like, "How'd you get my phone number?" I'm like, "Okay, you guys are drunk. I'm gonna get you guys home. It's fine." And they're like, "Well, we're gonna rate you 1 star." It's like, "Well, that's okay. You guys can do whatever you want." And so they're basically like, I spent 15 minutes just with the back of them in my car gossiping about me.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, this is good. So I was already kind of in a mood because they did rate me low, and but at the same time I got like $30 total out of them because I charged them for the cancellation, and then I got paid again to actually take them home.
Nice.
And she's like, you have to do something about that canceled ride. I was like, I can't do anything about the canceled ride. I totally can. I can refund it, but
no way, man.
yeah, no, I couldn't do anything more. Like at some point in time, I have to leave the house. Like I can't just wait there for an indefinite amount of time.
Right, exactly.
So I get this next one. I head back out on the highway. I get back over. I have the music just cranked up, which now was not very helpful on the dash cam videos that were now needed. I'm just singing at the top of my lungs the Gummy Bear song as I'm going down the highway.
Oh boy.
Keeping myself awake, and I get off the highway. I think I have some Taylor Swift song going on.
Love it.
Pulling into the residential area, and there was a car that was in the middle of the road with his headlights on. So I was trying to get around him because the address was another block or two away. And this girl who was my ride, she was just not at the location that it said on the maps. She runs from behind this car, almost gets run over because it's in the middle of the night, and she's wearing black.
Of course.
Almost gets run over.
Wow.
Waves me down, gets in the car, is just behind, in front of tears and all this like that.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
asking me to like lock the doors and stuff.
What the?
I look over, and it was this red, some kind of car. I don't know cars. But he looks at me. I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna kill me.
Oh no. Jeez.
So I locked the doors and I start heading out, and this guy is ready to crash his car. Like he is.
Goodness.
It was a very nice car, but he was ready to just drive it into a wall. From the looks of it. So he backs up his car and cuts me off, and I eventually get around him, and I'm trying to get out of this residential area. I'm trying to call 911 at the same time, and she eventually explains that this is her newly ex-boyfriend.
Newly ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. And so I have to go out the same way I came. It's one of those big residential areas with only a couple exits.
Right.
So I have to go all the way around. I have to come back. We haven't seen him for a couple minutes, and I get back into the thing, getting out of the residence, and pulls back in, and he's like swerving around like the middle of the road. He's like forcing me to like reverse.
Yikes, man.
Yeah, and I was in my head, I'm like, dude, like I will hit your car. Like I'm ready. Like my car's crap. So he eventually drives, and you could just see like he's going like 50 miles an hour in this small like little residential street, and he's just swerving all around the road.
Goodness.
This girl's crying in the back. So as soon as he leaves and I'm able to get out onto a little bit larger street, I call the police, and I didn't know in this specific city. I was off the highway in the city that I know the least, so I didn't know where the police station was. I was too far away from the police station that was to the south of us, and so in my head I'm like, okay, well, we have to go to Richland anyways at some point in time for this girl, so I might as well go to the Richland police station, as this is where I live, and I know where that is. So I start making my way over there, and I'm calling them, and the next we never ended up seeing him again, and we stopped probably a block away from the police station in just one of the local grocery shop parking lots while we were talking to the police, because the concern was we didn't see him, but she says like he will go to her apartment all the time.
Yikes.
And like, he'll be waiting there, and he'll send her pictures of cars in the parking lot so that she knows like it's her apartment complex and stuff like that.
Jeez.
Which is not okay.
No, that's terrifying, man.
And so police show up first, and then we go in after the police. They make sure that obviously there's nobody in her apartment, and then they had to make sure, because I didn't know this, but I apparently could have done it a little bit better, because I basically was in one city when I called the police and where it happened. I got on the highway, and then I was in another city when they met with us. And so I've just involved 3 police forces.
Yes. I was going to say that's seems pretty complicated.
Yeah. And so I had the Pasco Police Department, I had the State Patrol.
Oh, man.
And then I had the Richland Police Department.
Yeah.
So the Richland Police Department were the ones that were obviously closer, so they came out because they were the fastest to just make sure everything was safe. And then from there, the girl felt safest just hanging out in my car, which I had no problem with.
Right.
And he tried to say it in the nicest way possible, but basically we just kind of had to wait for the correct police department to come and talk to us, just for the logistics of it.
Right.
And so me and her just sat in my car listening to music and talking for probably an hour and a half while a couple police cars were just around the parking lot, and one of the guys was just writing his report just kind of next to our car.
Yeah.
So he was right there. So we were talking, and I was asking her questions to kind of calm her down and asking about her interests. I asked her what her favorite song was, and she gave me the answer like, oh, I like listening to everything. And I was like, that's a stupid answer. I accept your answer because you've had a hard night, but that is a stupid answer. I was like, if we're not gonna play your favorite song, we're gonna play my favorite song, and you don't want to listen to my favorite song. She's like, no, I want to listen to your favorite song. So I put on the Gummy Bear song again.
Oh boy!
And within about 10 seconds, she was like, here's a song that I like. I was like,
that's more like
that's what I thought.
Good one.
So we were listening to that song, and I think the Pasco Police Department just called her. They didn't even come. They were talking to her, and they got everything they needed. And pretty much by the end of it, everything had wrapped up, and both me and the police department were just encouraging her to. She was wanting to file a no contact order.
Yeah.
With him, we were encouraging her to do so.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like watching this guy come after us. Like the expression on his face when he was in front of me in the car, that is not somebody that anybody needs to be affiliated with,
right.
At least in his current state.
Yeah.
So I get done, and then the next day I have my SD card out, and she wanted me to send her the footage. Since she was technically, she's my Uber rider, I just left the car on the whole time we were sitting and waiting, just so I had dash cam footage of her being in my car.
Yeah.
So it was a good 2 hours total that we were in my car.
Wow.
And that was it was more than 8 gigabytes of footage.
Whoa, man.
And so I'm trying to email this over to her, and after about 10 minutes or so, I text her again. I'm like, hey, this 8 gigabytes is not going to work through email. But there were the initial 15 minutes, because we didn't see him after that. So the initial 15 minutes was the important part.
Right.
So she was okay with just getting that, and so I sent that over to her.
Nice.
And I hope she is filling out the no contact order. She promised that she would, but yeah, that's
good.
So I didn't get home until 4:30 or 5. I walked into the house, and my roommate was already getting ready for work to go to the Hanford site.
Oh man.
And the look she gave me, she's like, what the F are you doing? And I give her this look like, don't freaking ask.
I don't want to go there right now. Man, yeah. That's an intense story.
As soon as we didn't see him anymore and we were on the highway and we were talking to the police, she calmed down and was able to kind of control, she wasn't out of control of her emotions and stuff. I had no problem with her crying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People get in my car and cry all the time. And so I hope that they had already been crying before they got in my car, and that it didn't start when they got in the car.
Oh, I thought that's what you were saying. I thought they cried because your car smells so bad or something.
Yeah, they just get in and they just start just weeping their situation. Man. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, so she felt safe afterwards, and well, that's now good. I do have an Uber story to tell people. So I was wondering how long it was going to take me.
Yeah, that's
for anything odd to happen.
That's kind of the reason that I've chosen not to do Uber personally, is because I don't want to deal with that stuff.
Because I have no problem with it, and I kind of stepped back into the whether or not it's a good or bad thing, but I stepped back into the state of mind that I was in when people would go overboard when I was doing a collection thing at the gym, whether on the phone or if they were there in person. Because people can get really worked up if they find out that if I'm telling them that they owe me $600 or $700.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And more if they're doing. I think the most, and I was trying to ease them into it, but at the end of the day, I was trying to get the point across that they owed the gym about $4,000.
Whoa.
The largest thing of personal training that they can buy at one time, physically possible, is 100 sessions.
Wow.
Which is about 5,000.
Goodness.
And at least at the time, I don't know what the numbers are now.
Right.
They paid it, and they had gone through a couple sessions, and they'd made an initial payment with the contract. And then the personal trainers at the time had worked pretty directly with the payments, and the personal trainer just didn't realize that the payments weren't going through, and they still were going through these sessions. And then I got to the point when I got involved, because it kind of pings me eventually.
Yeah.
Hey, this person's super late.
Yeah.
So I start getting involved, and then they make payments, and then they kept doing the sessions, but then the check would bounce, or the payment wouldn't go through, or she would list it as fraud, so the payment would get back.
Oh no,
back-charged.
That's dirty. That's so dirty, man.
And so she comes in, I explain to her, like, trying to, in the nicest way possible, like, I'm trying to get her into my office so that she doesn't blow up here on the gym floor. But basically, like, she's broken the law. She owes all this money. She certainly can't come into the gym.
Right.
That's the least of her problems. And she, like, I am the last stop before she gets sent to the legal collections agency.
Yeah.
And they start, like, taking stuff from her.
Right.
I did not manage to get her into my office. And that was like, she just exploded. Like, you probably should have had a reaction. I'm like, well, I didn't feel anything. And they're like, well, you probably should have. It's probably not the healthiest thing in the world.
That's
that was kind of the thing of one of the things that I got called out on as far as numbing out.
Yeah. That's what got you the nickname Blob, my friend.
Blob. Yes. That was the first indicator of Blob.
Yes.
We had I love stupid stories from the gym. Like, we spend a lot of time thinking, me and the graveyard guy spent a lot of time thinking of the gym as the office.
Oh yeah.
At one point in time, we were just pitching each other. Like, we had a full 2 seasons of the office equivalent
I'm sure.
of TV episodes.
Oh yeah.
And we had a gal that would come in, and there was a time period of probably 3 months where a lot of stuff was getting stolen from the little cubby holes that we had in front of our cardio section. Because a lot of, as soon as people don't feel confident using them, then nobody's going to use them.
Right.
And so 1 or 2 times that it happens, anything beyond that, then it starts to be devastating and then everybody's using a locker, and then there's no space in the locker rooms, and then people, they leave their locks on for 3 weeks. So we're going through all the footage, and this she looked like what's that villain girl's name in The Little Mermaid, the animated
Ursula.
one? This big girl comes in. She's
slithering around on all 8 tentacles. It's like throwing magic
looks,
bottles everywhere and sticking her
Yeah.
eels on everybody.
Yeah.
Just a real
looks
Disney
like a bowling
villain.
ball. Yeah. Her face looks like her makeup and stuff looks like Ursula.
Oh, that's sad. Poor girl.
She would go put her stuff in a cubbyhole right next to somebody else's. And when she was done working out, which is an extraordinarily small amount of time.
Of course.
She would go and she would kneel down, which is impressive in itself. And she'd
get more
her
of a
body
workout
would cover
from kneeling down to steal somebody else's stuff.
She would kneel, and her body would cover the entirety of both of these cubbyholes.
No.
From the camera, and she would just reach both hands into both cubbyholes and just grab stuff from both.
Oh man, that's I mean, there's something to applaud there. I mean, that's knowing your body type.
Oh no, yeah, she was.
There's some self-awareness there that's pretty commendable.
She practiced awareness right there. She knew where the camera was, first of all.
Yeah.
And the ceilings are pretty high in the gym. It's a one huge room at like 5 p.m. And so we had a couple, I don't know, unmarked or just civilian clothed police officers.
Oh yeah.
And
undercover cops, man.
So anyway, she does this, and they come up and show their badges, and she comes into the general manager's room. And we show her the footage, and she's like, "Oh, that's not me." And one of the members had come up, and it was one of the regulars that he said, "I think she stole some. Like, I think she has stuff on her, right? Like, already."
Wow.
And so this was before she came into the room, and so we're like, "Well, I understand you don't think this is you, but like, do you have anything on you right now?" She's like, "Nope." I was like, "Well, we're gonna search you." She's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Well,
we kind of can."
She's just, it's like an avalanche. She's pulling money out of her bra.
Oh gosh. What? Wow.
So we try to make it very clear to people without signaling her in specific that like the issue has been resolved. You can put stuff in your cubbyholes again. Please use this surface again and stop using the locker room because we have captured Ursula. It is okay.
Captured Ursula. That's terrible, man.
It is fine.
That's terrible. Hey, I got some questions for you though, and I apologize for backtracking so much, but you've kind of been on this rant, and I just didn't want to interrupt you. This Uber girl that you saved from her newly exed boyfriend. Was she cute?
That was not the time to ask for a phone number from somebody that was just being abused by a boyfriend.
That's not what I asked. I asked, was she cute?
It was not somebody that I would ask out on a date.
Man, see, that whole time, or not the whole time, kind of the last quarter of that story, I was thinking, man, this would be so awesome if they kept in contact and got married. This would be one of those, she was so cool.
No, she was cute.
stories.
She was cute. You saw, like, somebody's pretty. They just have a very different, like, you can tell immediately that they have a different lifestyle than you.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
So that was what that was what it was. Like, she was very pretty, but I could just tell immediately, like her lifestyle and my lifestyle probably don't mesh too well.
Oh come on, come on, man. It's just think of it like an adventure or something.
I know. Me over here making stories. Who knows? Who
Uh-huh.
knows what she?
Right? How dare you? Ah, dang it.
You said you had questions. What are your other questions?
That was pretty much it. I just wanted to know if you were gonna date her.
Thanks for diving back over to that.
Well, I was in it for the glory, man. I just wanted to be the guy who called it. But you've dashed my hopes against the rocks. Thank you for that, destroying my dream.
So you haven't done Uber, you have done DoorDash.
I actually just picked up DoorDash again within the last couple of weeks because it's going nuts in my area.
It is, yeah. I hope you haven't had any. Have you had any stuff come up where you've had to call support or anything?
No, not yet.
See, it might be regional, so like you might have a better experience than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But so our restaurants are closed,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if that's nationally or just here in the state.
Yeah, everything's open here exclusively for pickup and takeout and delivery.
So that's what we're at. And then there are a bunch of restaurants, ones that aren't busy enough just from DoorDash. A lot of them have been closing. So a lot of the mainly sit-down restaurants that don't get a lot of business on DoorDash, they've been closing down. If they've been nice, and I'm not going to sit here and get mad at them for their situation, but the preference would be that they put their hours up, but they put a sign up saying we're closed due to the virus or due to this mandate. But a couple of them they just closed up shop. They don't have anything on their doors or windows. And so in app, without calling anybody, if the restaurant is closed when you arrive, you can take a picture of the hours, or you can take a picture of a sign, or if you can't find any of those, you can take a picture of the closed restaurant, and it will cancel the order for you and give you half pay.
Oh, nice.
So you don't have to call anybody, and that works most of the time. Calling one of if you get to the last point where there's nothing else and you're just having to take a picture of the literal just restaurant, in which point I'm basically just trying to back up as far as I can and take a picture of the restaurant with nobody parked there except for me.
Yeah, right.
And then it takes care of it for me, and then I assume somebody goes in and looks through the pictures, and if a restaurant does need to be marked as closed in the app, then they'll go through and actually put it in. Mm-hmm. But some of the times it doesn't work, and you do have to call support. So it was the first day of the restaurants being closed, and I called support, and first of all, it didn't let me call them. I called, and the automatic phone tree just said, "We are not accepting calls. Please use the chat." Good. This is going to go well.
Great.
So I start a chat, and I was number 1500 in line.
What? Oh my gosh.
And so I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. So I exited out, and I just tried 3 times in a row to just take a picture of the restaurant to cancel the order. And on the third time, I think it just pitied me, and they're like, fine, here's your money. But there have been people, and it's been the same for Instacart as well, where if something comes up, it's busy, but I don't want to work because if something happens, people have been stuck on the order that they're on for hours trying to get the support. And like for Instacart, people will be working, they will have an order that has an issue, they will stop working, they will start up a chat, and they will go to bed, and they will wake up the next morning. And after a couple hours, they will get connected, and so the whole work day is over, and you just have to start the queue and get into the next day.
That's horrible.
So that's why I've completely stopped doing Instacart, even though it's the busiest of all of them, and it looks like it's improving a little bit, and I definitely do want to make that money. So I might start doing it again, but I just there's this fear of if anything happens, I'm just gonna be screwed. And DoorDash isn't that bad, and then Uber obviously is the best out of all of them, but I haven't determined yet if Uber is going to be considered essential. I think it will be. Yeah. But Uber might go out the window here in 48 hours.
Yeah. Man, that is sketchy.
So what I was going to ask is, so you have been doing DoorDash. So what is like the end of the spectrum for you? What's been the craziest thing that's happened on your end, or the most annoying thing?
Really nothing that extravagant at all. I went out last Saturday night-ish, I think. Friday or Saturday night for the dinner rush. And the first order I picked up, I stood in the lobby for about 20 minutes waiting for the food to get done. I was in a line of like 4 or 5 other Dashers with their DoorDash bags.
Do you talk to them, or are you just radio silent?
Well, normally I will say like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, how's your day today? Like, how much or not like how much
Yeah, like
money have you made today?
how's the
But,
driving
like,
going tonight? Yeah.
yeah, like how's business or something like just trying to make small talk and kind of build some camaraderie with somebody I have something in common with, essentially.
Yeah.
But with this social distancing thing, we're standing so far apart from each other. It just felt awkward to like talk over that distance where people are like walking in between you to like stand in another spot.
Yeah. Hey.
And so yeah, yeah. And everybody was just on their phones. And so that pickup though ended up being a double order. So that was nice. It was so interesting though, because it's a Hawaiian food restaurant. I don't know if you have a Mo Betta's where you're
I
at.
wish I had a Hawaiian
It's a
restaurant.
Hawaiian. Oh my gosh, dude, I love Hawaiian food. It's so good. I'm a Polynesian at heart. I should have been born.
In your soul, you're an islander. I know.
I am. Yeah, yeah. Everybody who knows me knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm in this Mobetta's just smelling the heavenly aromas of grilled chicken and mac salad, man.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no tables or chairs. Everything in their dining room is gone. And it's just essentially a big waiting area for to-go orders. Yeah. So that was weird to me.
Yeah.
But the only other thing was that night I went to a El Pollo Loco to pick up an order. Mm-hmm. And same kind of story. Like I parked, there's cars in the parking lot. The lights are on inside. But I go up and there's no indication on the building that the lobby's closed. Mm-hmm. But I go up and I open the door, or I try to open the door and it's locked. And I look around and the drive-through line is just queuing up, getting longer and longer. Yeah. So I happened to notice that one of the drivers, or I heard one of the people going through the drive-through said, "I've got a DoorDash order." So I get the idea, I get the hint, right? Like, so I hop in my car and I get in line, and it was like a 10-15 minute wait in the drive-through to get the order. But I just told them, and they brought it out to me, and then I was on my merry way. But yeah, that's all food deliveries in my area have to be zero contact. So instead of going and knocking on the door and handing the food to the customer, it's like the state law is that I have to leave it on the porch and send the customer a picture, and then I can complete the delivery.
See, that's
so that's new. But
I'm interested that that's the law for you now. Is we haven't even we have this stay-at-home mandate, and we don't even have that yet. It's optional. It is the default option now in the app.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
They have to select away from it if they want something different than a no contact order.
Right.
And the driver can also themselves request a no contact order. And I did that. Yeah. I did that once, and I gotta say it was I gotta be honest, it was literally just because I was being discriminatory, and I judge people that order Little Caesars through DoorDash because that is two. Those are two bad choices in a row that they have just made. They have gone to the only pizza place that has a drive-through. It is the worst pizza in the world, and they have paid extra for somebody to bring it to them. And I'm like, that is very...
Oh, man.
I question all your decision-making. I question your cleanliness.
Oh, man.
Like, I don't want to touch you. Like...
Okay, I got some stuff to say
all right.
that. First of all, I love Little Caesars.
I don't have a problem with you guys enjoying Little Caesars. I'm just there's a culmination of things that just happened right then and there.
I get that. Yeah. I 100% get that. I love Little Caesars, and I fully acknowledge that it's terrible pizza. And there's just a special place. It has a special place in my heart because I may have told you this, but during football season in high school, there was a Little Caesars right across the street from the high school. And every lunch period, the football team would gather in one of the biology rooms because the head coach was a biology teacher. And we would film a recording of the team we were playing that week to watch what they did and study what they did. Yeah. And we had to bring our own lunch. And so my best friend and I, Kevin, one of us would run over there as soon as we could and grab a hot and ready. And we just split a hot and ready with crazy bread every day. And so there's just this place in my heart that just Little Caesars reminds me of football. And it's just so good, man.
Oh,
Even though it tastes there's so much better pizza out there.
Yeah.
But the other thing, you're gonna laugh at this. This is hilarious. That same night where I went to those two places, I get a double order from Little Caesars.
Yeah.
So I go to Little Caesars. I go in. I say, I've got these two orders. Okay, sweet. Here's the one order. Wait, what was this? What was the name on that second order? So I told her, and she was like, I already gave that to somebody. I was like, oh boy, here, I've heard about this. I'm gonna have to call support, and they gave the order to somebody else. Boy, this is dang, darn, shoot. Well, and then so she goes back and she was like, wait, I swear we already gave this order out, but is there an order for so and so? And they're like, oh yeah, it's right here.
Oh, good.
And she was like, okay, this is why I was confused. He's already ordered the same pizza today.
Oh. Yes.
He ordered he ordered a cheese pizza from Little Caesars twice in the same day.
Oh my goodness.
Through DoorDash.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, I would request a no contact from for those orders. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on in that household.
So I go to this house and I drop off the one pizza on the doorstep, but they're one of those people, I don't know if you get this a lot, but they're like watching you drive on their app to see where their food is, and they were waiting. So I put the pizza down, and like as I'm setting the pizza down on the ground, I can see movement in the house. Yeah. And I back up to take the picture, and he's like already out, like picking the pizza up. Yeah. Off of the porch. Yeah.
No, I've had that. I've had that happen. Or I just have like a kid that's been, they've been sent on a mission to watch me, so I can just see them in the blinds. Looking at me, so I just kind of wave at them, and like the blinds shut, like, oh,
the food's here. Yeah. I mean, I've had people like wait, like standing in their front yard when I drive around the corner. Yeah. And I get out of the car, and they're just like holding their hand out, like impatiently waiting for me to unzip the bag.
Yeah, yeah. I have more comments about Little Caesars. One of the first, I think within the first 3 days, I still feel like I think about it, and it just burns in my soul because I'm so embarrassed.
This is so.
And good. I was going up, and it was it hurts. I'm pulling up, and I have the food, and it's late at night, but she's out there, and I can see her. I pull into the driveway, and in my head, the driveway goes right, like it bends around, and so I pull right, and she just stops walking, and she's just looking at me, and I get out of the car, and I'm just on their lawn.
Just right in front of her.
Oh.
That's the most amazing thing.
Oh, hey,
here's your food, lady. Drive over just probably, hopefully, I hope, freshly manicured lawn.
I don't.
Here's some tire treads.
Yeah, I don't know. And it was winter, and so the treads stay there for however long. Because this was in December, and because it was the driveway, it was a nicer house, so they had a fair amount of property, and so the driveway is long, but it's pretty steep going up. Oh yeah. And then there's a tree line like that I passed through, and it was dark, and so it was the perfect scenario to not see the grass. But I get out of the car, and I do not look at her. I just get back in the car, and I just back up, and I don't even back up right, so I'm a little bit in their tree line, and. And I just get out and I give her the food, and I was like, I will do yard, like, I don't know how to fix this. I will do yard work. Like and she's like, no, it's fine. And I'm sitting there like, she doesn't even rate me bad.
Oh man, what a saint.
I hope she didn't rate me at all, because I would just feel terrible if she just gave me a 5-star. Because I have done exactly what would constitute a 1-star rating. And I'm driving away. I was like, I have been to that house before. Like, I don't know when, but I have been to that house before. It's only maybe 2 miles away from where I used to live. From middle school all the way up to a year and a half ago. Yeah. And I'm trying to think about it. And I'm going to church. I'm going to the YSA the next Sunday, the Young Single Adult Ward. And this one of my friends who I was always too scared to ask out on a date. She's done with college, and so she's back in town teaching at one of the schools. And as soon as I recognized her, I realized this is her house. Like, this is her parents' house. That I just drove over their lawn. And to this day, me and her have not acknowledged it. Like, we just there's no way that she does not know about it, and we are never going to talk about it. And we have talked, we have discussed things much more menial than me driving over her lawn. So there has been time. But it just hurts. It just physically hurts to think about that when she's just staring at me, and
Oh man, I can relate though, man. Not specifically, but just having memories that just hurt. That I just wish would go away and not be memories anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So moving quickly away from that, far away. Back onto
very fast.
Back onto Little Caesars. I may judge the people hypothetically that get the Little Caesars, but I love actually picking up from Little Caesars is amazing for me. I love doing it.
Oh yeah.
And I was gonna ask, do you guys have the equivalent of like a vending machine in your Little Caesars?
Yeah, and I have used it before, but for whatever reason, these last two orders that I picked up from there were not in the vending machine. But I think that's a super cool feature, especially being a DoorDash driver.
Yeah, and they didn't have to do anything different. Like I like at least some of the little. I don't think we have a Little Caesars that has any seating.
Oh yeah.
So they haven't had to do anything. Like they already have no contact as their main thing. Like my people, and I don't have any problem with it. Like whatever policies that their managers tell them to do, I'm not going to get mad at them about it. But like I will get there before the pizza's ready, and they will come up and they're like, "Hey, I understand you're here, but I have to put this in the warmer." And you have to put the code in. And I was like, that's weird, but I have had to ask people weirder things, like just because of our policies I've had to stick to. If there's something that gets automatically checked off when I put in this code and you can't check it off on your end, like I totally understand. I'm not going to sit here and yell at you guys about that.
Yeah.
So we don't ever touch hands or anything like that. It is already a no contact process. So Little Caesars in our area hasn't had to do anything different. They're probably loving it.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know if the Little Caesars in your guys' area has done it, but we get a little in our instructions for the restaurant. We get a thing that says if you do not have a pizza bag yet and this location is giving them to you, sign your name on the log and get a pizza bag. I was like, and
yeah,
do you guys have that there too?
Yes, we do, but they've never been giving them out the nights that I pick up from there.
Oh,
so
really?
I have yet to get one. But yeah, I think that's super cool as well.
It was probably weeks before I got my first Little Caesars order. Just out of coincidence, there's 3 or 4 locations here. And I walk in, and in my head, I just have this dinky little like one-use like plastic bag. And I'm like, I don't want this. And then there were also people that were saying in the chat that you had to bring the pizza bag back at the end of the night. I was like, I also do not want to do this.
No. Yeah, that's terrible.
So I go in and I get the food, and I also ask her, I kind of show her the phone, and I was like, are you guys doing this? The girl in front has no idea. She's like, no, and she starts pulling out this plastic bag. I was like, oh, no, I don't want a plastic bag. And then the girl in the back, she just kind of yells out. She's like, hey, is he DoorDash? She's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, we got the pizza bags. And so she comes up, and I don't know if you've seen them yet.
I have not.
Like, they are a nice, fully insulated pizza bag.
Nice.
We had a guy that went up to Seattle in the beginning of February, and he went to the DoorDash office. And
nice.
So we sent him with basically a shopping list of things we wanted.
Awesome.
And one of these days I'll send you a picture of the catering bag I have. But
catering bags, huh?
So you have the normal red tote. Picture that all the way open. I can fit probably 3 or 4 of those in this catering bag.
Wow.
And so I'll get the people, and it's obviously a party that they're having, and they're getting like 6 Little Caesars pizzas and some bread and some sauce. And so at that point in time, I just open up the catering bag, and when I get to there, like, it's a very satisfying thing for them, and I'll usually always get 5 stars because they're like, oh my goodness, the bag works so well. Because I will open up the bag and I just have this disgusting, warm, soggy Little Caesars pizza. but
divine, heavenly, good Little Caesars pizza.
Yeah, exactly. When I open the bag up there, it's usually at night. The steam is just coming out of the bag, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, your bag works so well." And I'm like, "Yeah, I had to spend some money on it, but anything for the customer." And
you tool.
And it usually works out pretty well for me.
You suck.
I almost feel bad giving it to them because like the Little Caesars pizza boxes just start to deteriorate.
Oh man, that's so gross.
And I just like, so the box is like, I could just feel the bottom of the, I'm just giving them this pile of pizza.
It's a pile of cardboard at that point.
Yeah, but they see the steam and they're like, this guy's professional. Like that, they're thinking.
I'm glad that works out.
They're thinking so well of me, and I'm just thinking that these disgusting just people.
These untouchables ordering their Little Caesars pizza through DoorDash.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten the notification in DoorDash having been tipped more after the fact, or?
Yeah, I have a couple of times. Mostly on like Walmart grocery orders.
Oh yeah, because I can't tip beforehand.
But a couple of times, when I'm being very open with the customer about any hold up at the restaurant or any issue, just any issues that come up. I found that communication really helps in those
Yeah.
situations. Those are more likely to actually send a bigger tip after the fact. Like obviously just going above and beyond on customer service helps with that, but I'd say it's rare, but it does happen every now and then.
It happens so infrequently here that it is a joke in the group chats, and
Yeah.
somebody will take a picture of it and we'll be like, "You're lying. It didn't actually happen." Because nobody. And I've been doing this. I just passed 500.
Oh, nice.
And I have not gotten anything. It's never come up for me.
Wow.
And the other night, I was going through, and this no contact order thing was becoming the default. It was a $3 pay for a 1.5 mile thing for McDonald's, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this, but I also I don't know how much at this time. I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know how much I want to be working between now and the end of the month, and I need to keep these top dasher stats so I can continue to work whenever I want. And I'm right at 70% right now. I can't not take the order. Like, I will at the end of the month, depending on how it's looking, like I will accept orders and then drop them just to keep
your stats.
I was like, this person thinks that he's going to pay me $7 for driving 13 miles, which here in the Tri-Cities is the only reason you would ever drive 13 miles is if you have to go on the highway around to the nearest bridge and then cross the river and then come back.
Oh,
That's really the only thing that takes 13 miles to do here. It's like I'm not gonna get $7 for basically 45 minutes of my time.
Jeez.
And so I will accept it, and then I will immediately just drop the order.
Do you get dinged for that?
You do, but it's on a different. I have
a different metric.
So I have there's the acceptance rating, and then there's the completion rating. And so, if my acceptance rating is at 68% on the second to last day of the month, and my completion rating is at 100%, I will accept and then drop orders until my completion rating is at like 97 or something like that, just to keep the stats with what I want them. Obviously, the preference is that I get orders that don't require me to do that. But yeah, that's where it currently. So I did that probably 3 times the other day, kept it, and now I'm up to 72.
Nice.
Yeah, back in the day when I had like a 90% completion or acceptance rating, I was like, I don't understand how people get so low on their acceptance rating. And then now I'm sitting here like, I don't want to take this order.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely more picky. I stepped out of the commitment that I made in the beginning because I said that I was just going to accept everything. That is not the case anymore. That dropped off as soon as this became a job and not just something to do after my full-time job. It's all a game. Drop one and then a better one comes right after, or I drop one and I don't get anything for 20 minutes afterwards. So some money would have been better than no money.
Right.
But
yeah.
Did you you mentioned the Walmart delivery? Did you ever have you ever looked into Spark?
Nope. What is that?
So you only get Walmart deliveries when they have spent so much time without being picked up on Spark.
Oh, really?
So Spark is the app where you pick up Walmart deliveries and deliver them to people.
Huh.
Spark is through DDI, Delivery Drivers Incorporated, or something like that. So when you type it in, DDI might come up, and that you are on the right site.
Oh, okay.
Just on the business end of it, that's what comes up a lot. But it is the specific app is called Spark. It's through Walmart. You're not grocery shopping. You're doing what you do if you do it on DoorDash. You're getting paid more than on DoorDash because DoorDash lowers the pay a lot, and then the tip rate is pretty high.
Nice.
So people that do Walmart deliveries, I think they pay a subscription for it. I don't think they pay a per trip kind of thing. And so,
okay.
So when they're not having to pay right then and there for this thing, they're much more apt to give you a tip for it.
I see. Yeah.
And then they just, at least in our area, I don't know if it's a thing in your area, but if you're on, not if you're on DoorDash, but if you're on Spark, you have a chance of getting a batched order, which is you get 2 orders at a time. And, and those are super nice because then you're making at least $14 and you pick up both orders at the same time and you just go drop them off.
That's amazing.
And then the pay goes up the longer the order sits there. The base pay is $9.30. In Washington, in Tri-Cities, but then I think that can go up to like $6 extra.
Wow!
So I can make $15 for doing it, and you kind of play this game. For me, for example, and all the people that do it that are on the chat, we all discuss how we always play this game. Where like we don't know how many people are looking at this order, but it's kind of like an eBay thing. When do I grab it?
Yeah.
When's the moment? Because you want it to go as high as possible.
Right. Right.
And so you pick it up, and then you have, unlike DoorDash, where it's an order like everything else, and you just have to go take it. On Spark, you pick it up a quarter till. so that you have an hour and 15 minutes to do everything. And so,
Oh, wow.
let's say they want their groceries between 5 and 6 o'clock. So you have between 4:45 and 6 o'clock to pick up the order and drop off.
Wow.
And so you do Spark while you're doing DoorDash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, like, that's in my area specifically. Particularly, I've stopped doing it a lot in these last 2 weeks. I'm about to turn it back on because it calmed down a little bit. And Walmart's figured their stuff out. But my closest Walmart, in the afternoon, it's a joke to try to go over there because it takes me, I'll sit there for probably 40 minutes to wait for the groceries. It's not worth it to me if I'm sitting there for more than 10 minets waiting for them to load the groceries into my car.
Yeah.
So now what I do is before noon, I'll accept Spark orders and I'll do them at the same time as DoorDash. And then after 12 o'clock, I haven't been doing them. But yeah, that's what kind of puts me up to like $30-$40 an hour is me doing Spark at the same time as doing DoorDash.
That's DoorDash. Dang, I'm definitely gonna look into that now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is in your area. I was on a wait list for about 3 months.
Oh, geez.
Before they reached out to me.
Gotcha.
And so now would obviously be a good time to look into it because they may open stuff up if they're not already to more drivers.
Yeah.
Just because so many people are going to do it. But yeah, that's a pretty low-key thing, and people are super nice when you show up. And unlike DoorDash, for the same reason, if you're getting it on DoorDash, probably already late because it's been sitting in Spark for a little bit, and then if nobody picks it up in Spark, then Spark hands it over to DoorDash.
Yeah.
And so people aren't the happiest with you all the time when you show up because you could be anywhere from 15 to 2 hours late of what they were expecting.
Wow. Yeah. Gotcha.
And I don't know if you've experienced that before, but I've had people just pissed. And I have to explain to them, like, I'm sorry it's late for you. I got this order 20 minutes ago, and I went immediately over and immediately over to your location.
Right.
So I apologize for the situation, but I promise you, like, I did not delay.
Gotcha.
And so on Spark, obviously, you're getting it on time. And then what I found out is, especially if there's like families and stuff, and this is another just tool thing to do, but the kids always want to like help, and it's like, oh, this is somebody we've never met before. Like, I want to help him and be cool and get groceries. And then there's little kids that are like 2 years old or something like that. And like, I'll find the lightest groceries and I'll put them aside. I'll give the normal groceries to the parent. And then I'll like, every time I come up to give them their groceries, I give like a grocery with like a bag of chips. And I'll always interact with the kids like that. And parents are super likely to give me a tip if I'm sitting there interacting with the kid. And
yep. I can speak from experience that parents love their kids. Yeah. So that totally makes sense.
some of the times I'll have like the kids come out only, like, so I have me with groceries. I'm like, does your parent know I'm here? And they're like, oh yeah. I was like, can they come out? Because, you know, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page, that I'm not kidnapping anybody's child as they're just like crawling into my backseat getting some groceries.
Oh boy.
Like, I'm just standing around like calling out to people like, I probably, he's getting back out. Just see him. Just, everything's fine. I had a gal. She was pretty embarrassed the other day. I remembered her because it was a really large Spark order. And every time I came up with more groceries, the kids were like, Mom, you got more stuff?
Yeah.
She was one of those, like, very, like, it was a loud family. She's like, Joey, you asked me for 3 weeks for all this food, and now I'm getting it to you, and now you're yelling at me. Do you want these Danimals or not? And he's like, yeah, Mom, I want these Danimals. And so I remember this order, and so I came up, and she had gotten Chipotle or something. And it was the same situation. I walk up, and all the kids are playing in the front yard, and I open the door, and the mom comes out, and I look around, and I was like, I remember you guys. And they're like looking at, I was like, oh yeah, this guy brought us all the groceries. And I was like, yeah, you guys probably still aren't done with those groceries. And she's like, we ain't.
Ouch. Classy. Very classy.
By now I've delivered, just on coincidence, I've delivered to a couple family members. And I don't, because I'm terrible at communicating, and I don't talk to my family. It's a big surprise when I
oh yeah, me either.
Yeah, it's a big surprise when I show up at their door. And they think I'm still working at the hospital, or they think I'm still working at the gym from 2018.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I talked to my family a little bit more than that.
Yeah, no, my uncle texted me a couple weeks ago, and like, hey, do you want to, like, everybody's getting together, we're kind of having a dinner, like, do you want to join us? And I was like, hey, like, I'd love to, like, I really don't have the time to drive up to Seattle. And he's like, Jordan, we've lived in Pasco for 2 years.
Ouch.
I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be right over.
Oh, man.
And that was in September, and he texts me again on, what is today, Monday? He texts me again on Friday. And I'm looking at the text message, and I realize, like, I haven't talked to this guy. There's been no correspondence between September and now. And the only reason why I realize this is he texted me and he's, basically the same thing. We're getting together, we're having sacrament since church has been canceled, and we're able to make it. And I was like, yeah, like I'd love to come. I want to make you guys, for anybody that's not comfortable with it, for everybody that's here locally, I just make sure they're aware, like, I am around people in the Tri-Cities all day, every day. And because I'm still working. And he's like, I thought you were in a call center. See, about that. Whoops. But so I show up at my aunt's or uncle's door, and they like do like a triple take, because they're like, oh, it's this guy. Oh, it's Jordan. What is Jordan doing here? And I show up and I'm like, you live in a different house than before. And they're like, oh yeah, we bought this in 2016. And I'm like, man, I'm the best family member.
So I live with my in-laws.
Yeah.
Right. You knew this.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's like no family within any reasonable driving distance. I do have an aunt who lives about an hour and a half north of me, and we were going over there pretty regularly for a little bit before like the holiday season, and then we were going over once a month for just like a big family night, family dinner thing where all of her kids would come, and then I'm the only other person in that side of the family, even remotely close to them anymore. And there's nobody else. And so they just invited me over. So we got kind of adopted by my aunt for a little bit. But then the holiday season happened. And then, my baby was in the hospital for a while. And then they were sick. And then we were sick. And then Corona came out. And so, like, we just haven't seen him in like 6 months.
If somebody's not in my immediate vicinity, I just have difficulty. I have my daily routine, and if texting somebody isn't part of that daily routine or connecting with them,
yeah,
we just in the past we've just lost contact.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is for me too. It was like a conscious effort to like stay in contact with my parents and my siblings now that we're so far apart. They live 4 hours south of me now. Same thing, like I didn't like associate with them. There was nothing I did that influenced them or related to anything they did in any way. So for a while after we moved up here, we just we didn't talk. And so that was like a conscious thing when Grayson was born, that I realized, man, like I have no idea what's going on. It was like a wake up call to me, like, man, I have no idea that my parents are selling their house, or like my brother's going through this, or whatever the case may be. So then I kind of put some intention into staying connected with my family of origin, and it's still, even after I set my mind to, we are going to FaceTime my family every Sunday to stay connected, like it still took a number of months to get in a habit of that.
And that's what you do right now?
Yeah, we do call for about 20 minutes before the boys go to bed, just to reconnect, and so my mom can see the boys. And that's been really nice for us. For me, I mean, in some ways I feel closer to my family than I have my whole life. And that's not just from calling every so often. That, I mean, there's personal growth on my end that's coming into play with that, and growth on my mom's end and my siblings' end and stuff. Like my youngest siblings are looking at graduating high school soon. My sister is graduating this year, and my brother's 2 years behind her. And so like there's a maturity there that we can connect on a little bit more meaningful levels there. And that's been super cool for me. I've really, really enjoyed that. Finally, I'm at a place in my life where I really enjoy connection with my family. So that's been really, really cool.
Feel excited for them, for things that are happening in their lives. It doesn't, physically doesn't have anything to do with me, but I am still feeling this for them and excited for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So my sister, who's graduating this year, she was applying to all these colleges, and I found myself being actually really emotionally and mentally invested in where she was applying to, because I'm going to the University of Utah right now, and she was also applying to the University of Utah. And so I just started like doing like hard sales pitches for the University of Utah for her. But it wasn't her first choice of school, so I had this job. Like I was going to sell the U to my sister so she can come to school with me.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. Like I did it semi-jokingly, but there was a significant part of me that actually wanted her to come to school with me, because again, like I'm in this place now where I really enjoy and get along with my family, and that's kind of a new thing for me. I've got some not trauma, probably guilt. Yeah, I've got some guilt that I carry around for how I acted to my siblings when I was living at home.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so it's exciting for me to be there for her in that way as like a big brother.
I think I mean, I discussed extensively when I was in Utah that up until that point, my entire objective was to avoid my father at all costs. In my head, I didn't have any resentment. I just wanted him to do his own thing, and I wanted to do my own thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now we'll talk, I wouldn't say every week, but the thing that connects us right now is my dad's a financial advisor. He's starting his own business, but he's gotten super into Uber. Like he just
Yeah, you told me that.
he just really enjoys driving for Uber, and he doesn't make as much money as I do because his drives are shorter just because of the layout of his area.
Oh,
And it's
yeah, I
a
see.
college town and stuff like that, and a lot of people here, like, they're just going to a bar in a completely different town, so they're crossing
yeah.
the river, and so
Mm,
I just have a lot of like 20-30 minute drives.
gotcha.
But he's already, so like, I'm gold, which means I have more than 200 points, and you get 1 to 3 points per ride.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad is already past. He already has like 600 or 700,
Wow.
and he started a month and a half after I did, and so he's already like diamond or platinum or something at the top.
Jeez.
And I'm like, oh, what the heck, Dad? And that was how we started having these. We had this conversation the other day that went into. I mentioned that my work is not connected to any specific location. I can move if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he took that and he just ran with it, and he spent the next 20 minutes talking to me about, with little input from me. This is just kind of him going off.
Yeah.
He was trying to have me come back down to Tennessee, and he was going to teach me the financial advisor stuff, which I'm totally open to. Really, I have more interest in real estate, and that's why me and my brother are talking a lot these days. But my dad wants me to move to Tennessee, and I was like, Dad, you forget the main reason that I left after helping you guys move was that I woke up on the second day and it was hot and humid, and I vowed to never come back to Oak Ridge. Like, I made that promise, and over the next couple of years, you will realize how serious I am. But when we have family gatherings, we need to meet in Idaho, or nothing at all. Like, it's all or nothing. Because I'm never waking up sweating. Well, I might, that might still be the case, but I'm not doing it in Tennessee anymore. But me and my dad talk a lot because of Uber. My dad will have questions, or when somebody hit my car while I was working, I had questions about that, and so stuff keeps coming up. So that's been a way for me and him to connect. To jump right over and maybe touch base and into the last thing, I was gonna ask. So you've been playing off and on. Tanner's obviously had his wedding and then his new place that he's been busy with. So he's not there every week, but you've been able to play with your brother as well in our online D&D games. And so to kind of switch over to the games topic, has that been a help as far as your guys' connection?
Yeah, definitely has. So Tanner's my wife's brother. But yeah, I absolutely, I'd say playing D&D with him has helped us a lot. So it was kind of like this weird, I don't know where to start with this. I don't know how to answer that question.
Whatever you're
But
open with there.
I mean, yeah, he's a number of years younger than me. He's probably between 3 and 5 years younger than me. That sounds bad that I don't know how old he is.
I never know the age of my brother. I just know I have to count up from whatever age I'm at, and so
Yeah.
and there's some weeks that I forget how old I am, so that really causes issues. But yeah, so I think we had discussed he was around the same age as I was, if maybe a little bit older, because I'm 23.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think he's younger than you, but he's about your age, I guess.
So if we find out later, we can just edit all that out, and you can be the good
Perfect.
brother that knows his brother's age.
I'm pretty sure he's 21 or 22. But yeah, so there's like an age difference, and there was a pretty significant interest difference between us. Like I mentioned before, I played football in high school, and I was more of an athlete in high school. I enjoyed sports and fitness and working out and lifting weights and such. And he is a singer. He was in like competitive choir groups and like really prestigious like singing groups in high school. And so there was kind of that disconnect there of like the clashing stereotypes, if you will, like the jock versus the pretty boy or the choir boy. stereotypes
Yeah.
clashing there. And so the only thing we really got along with was video games. And then when he got home from his mission, he told me about this D&D group that he had here in town, and I was listening to that D&D podcast, and I had
Drunken Dragons.
Yes, Drunks and Dragons. And so I eventually got to a point where I wanted to play, and I just called a bunch of people who I thought could be a little bit interested in D&D, and another person who I knew was interested, who had played it. Our mutual friend Steven, I knew he had played in the past, and then Tanner was telling me about his group that he goes to, and I thought, great, we'll invite him along for another body, and we'll get to play. And so that has actually helped, because the way that he and I both play is we build our characters based on characters from other sources.
You enjoy taking inspiration from the other stuff that you enjoy.
Right. Yeah. And so that's just another thing that we've been able to talk about and connect with. So yeah, that's definitely been helpful for us to get along.
For me and my brother, me and my brother do not have the same interests of games. So my brother, he talked about how he plays games on Saturdays, and so we've kind of used that as a way to connect with each other. And it was super consistent for a couple weeks, and now it's kind of dropped off and happening every once in a while because Saturday nights are busy for me. But us starting to play to connect has grown the comfort of just us talking to each other again, to the point where we are like, we'll just call each other like once a week or once every other week, and we'll talk to each other for an hour or so. Just how are things going? And he just had a kid, and so things are super busy in his life, and he's just starting to be a real estate agent. I'm doing this, and whether he likes it or not, I talk to him about my D&D stuff. He gets to listen to that. And so starting with video games, even though we don't necessarily play with each other a lot these days, I'm also super competitive, and so when we're sitting here playing like Call of Duty, on the outside I'm chill, but on the inside I'm like I'm just just Hulk, just slamming on the table, and like it's just like racquetball. I just go into a mode and just scream. I start screaming, and I'd walk into my roommates will be having people over, and I'll like walk out and get some chips, or like I'll get an orange or something, and I'll super chill, and I'll say hi to everybody, and then I walk back into my room, and then like 30 seconds later they just hear me like, what the just
hulking out,
and they think it's funny. So nice. So I've been grateful for it as a start, and now we kind of talk to each other. That's been really good, and now I'm kind of leeching off of him because he's helping me set up for, because I have to have a business license for Uber because of the money that I make, and for DoorDash since with the money that I make. And then with that, I really wanted to, almost out of laziness, so I started editing the last podcast, and I was like, oh, I really enjoy this. Now the thought is like, whether or not, I'm open to everything that happens, with this thing. I do know that I enjoyed everything about the editing that podcast and the whole creative process and doing that. And so whatever does end up happening, I want entertainment or creation to be something that I do. I also don't want to make two businesses. And so I'm like, all right, I need to think of a business name that works for both like Uber, DoorDash, and then whatever in the entertainment field I end up doing.
Wow, that's quite the diverse business model.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting here trying to think of a business name. The only one I've come up with so far, and I'm trying to see if it's available. My brother tells me it's not, and I think it is. Is Jet LLC, and so it's Jordan's Entertainment and Transportation.
Oh, that's so good.
And so my brother's trying to get me off of that boat, and I'm holding fast. But he's helping me get the business license gone through and go through all those web pages, because he just had to do it as a real estate agent. And then for the real estate stuff, I have a great interest in following him in that. Yeah. As long as everything, nothing devastating happens as far as that line of work goes.
Right.
So we have a lot more things in common these days.
Man, that's good.
And I think I've worn him down one of these days to play D&D. It might take another year or two, so
someday.
It's a long process. Yeah. Maybe when my family doesn't know this, but I fully plan on coming with a one-shot ready when my family gets together in May.
That's so cool,
to see the baby. And so they're like, why is your luggage so heavy? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
All of your source manuals and stuff.
Yeah, just like start pulling things out, and they walk into the room one day, and I'm just completely set up.
Have a seat.
This is happening. Have a seat, cleric.
You're not going anywhere for at least 3 to 4 hours.
And if any of my one-shots are to speak, I always run late on my one-shots. They always take longer than I think they do. I always say, like, oh, this would be like a 2-hour one-shot. And then, like, 4 hours later, my players are like, I need to go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, our campaign's kind of been doing that the last couple of sessions.
Yeah, you guys are into something, and I'm hyper aware of the time. Everybody is later than me. Like I'm the earliest through the night than everybody else is, and so we're sitting there, and it gets to like 11 o'clock for me, and I'm like,
yeah, that one night we didn't go to bed till like 1:30. It was like a 4-hour session.
It's always the quest to find a time that works for everybody. That's also convenient for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Starting at what, 9 o'clock for you guys, and then what is it later for Steven? Is Steven even
Steven's
farther
in
out
your
east?
time zone.
Oh, Steven's in my time zone.
Yeah, he lives in California, so he's on the Pacific time zone.
You know, my other group, one of them works at a grocery store here, and so we've pretty much been catering to him the last 3 weeks.
Oh man, working retail sucks.
With and his like all of his stuff is getting changed, and he's making a lot of money, but he is exhausted right now.
I bet.
And so I like texted him like, "How you doing?
Do you want to play?"
Yeah, totally fine if you don't want to. The session started 2 hours ago, but don't you worry if you don't want to. And it'll be like 1 p.m. and he's just waking up.
Oh, jeez.
They're working a lot.
Yeah, man.
Well, sweet. Well, that's the 2 hour mark for us.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more to discuss in games. I think you always have things you want to talk about with Destiny.
Always. I got some stuff loaded, but we can come back to that next one.
We can set aside your own special time for Destiny talk. Maybe I'll load the game up in between now and then and get caught up enough so that I know what you're talking about. I saw a video that I said I put save for later, and it said get to max level in 1 day.
Yeah, that's if you. Yeah, I watched one of those videos that said the same thing, and if you want to do that, you need to plan on spending the whole day.
The whole day.
This is 1 day for a YouTuber or a streamer on the game.
Got it.
For a full-time dad, not gonna happen.
The YouTuber posts like, this took me a day. It's like, well, that's great.
I did this PvP quest in like an hour. I'm like, dude, I suck at PvP. This takes me like a week to get that many kills.
No, it's those quests are insane sometimes.
Yes, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm trying to get my dad and my brother to play it with me, but they're like, oh, I'm busy playing these other games. But holding out hope that they can hop on.
So that's the discussion to start off next time, as we will dive into the current games that we're playing outside of D&D, as that D&D will take up its own time.
Yes.
Because it's all special like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll wrap up there.
Okay, sounds good.
I just pressed the record button again.